predator becomes prey in the Florida Everglades as hundreds of hunters descend on the Sunshine State to catch and kill as many Burmese pythons.
Florida has sent out a new fighter to fight the huge problem of Burmese pythons, and it is shocking. Forget traps, dogs, or hunters walking through the swamps. This snake hunter comes from the sky. Helicopters fly over the Everglades, dropping trained eastern indigo snakes into the thick marshes below.
Working to help balance that ecosystem back out by reintroducing these eastern indigo snake.
This is the 9th year state agencies have released eastern indigo snakes back into the wild.
These quiet hunters are made to catch venomous snakes and even eat young pythons that are taking over the land. But can these snakes from the air really fix the problem? Or is Florida trying a dangerous new experiment? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. The mind-blowing snake killer in Florida. Florida is facing a very serious and ongoing environmental problem caused by invasive snake species. Over many years, snakes such as Burmese pythons and anacondas were introduced into the state, mostly through the exotic pet trade. Some escaped, some were released, and others were abandoned when they grew too large for people to handle. Once these snakes entered the wild, they did not just survive, they thrived. Florida's climate plays a major role in this problem. The state is warm, humid, and full of wetlands, swamps, forests, and waterways. These conditions are very similar to the natural habitats where these invasive snakes originally came from. Because of this, the snakes did not struggle to adapt. Instead, they found a place where food was plentiful and where very few natural predators existed to control their numbers. Over time, they formed large, self-sustaining populations that continue to grow. The impact on Florida's wildlife has been severe. Invasive snakes are large, powerful predators that eat a wide range of animals. Small mammals, birds, reptiles, and even animals as large as deer have all fallen prey to them. As these snakes consume more and more native wildlife, entire food chains begin to break down. Species that once played important roles in the ecosystem are becoming rare or disappearing from certain areas altogether. This is especially true in places like the Everglades, where the balance of nature is already fragile. At the same time, Florida is home to a large number of native snake species. There are around 45 native snake species living across the state, spread through many different habitats. These snakes are not enemies of the ecosystem. In fact, they are an essential part of it. Native snakes help control rodent populations, which protects crops and reduces the spread of diseases that can affect humans. Some native snakes even help control populations of venomous snakes, contributing to natural balance. The problem is that any method used to control invasive snakes must also consider the safety of these native species. Poison-based control methods, such as dropping poisoned bait, create a serious risk. Native snakes cannot tell the difference between bait meant for invasive species and food that is safe for them to eat. If they consume poisoned prey, they may suffer injury or death. Many native snake populations are already under stress due to habitat loss, road deaths, and fear-driven attacks by humans. Adding poison into their environment could push some species beyond recovery. Another major issue is the feeding behavior of snakes themselves. Many snakes do not simply eat anything they come across. In the wild, snakes rely on specific signals to recognize prey. They look for movement. They sense body heat. They respond to chemical cues in the air. Dead animals do not provide these signals. While some captive snakes can be trained to eat dead prey, wild snakes often ignore it completely. This means that poisoned carcasses might not even be eaten by the intended target. If invasive snakes ignore the bait, the entire effort becomes ineffective. poisoned animals could remain in the environment without serving their intended purpose. This increases the chance that other animals will find and eat them instead. Florida has a very high number of predators and scavengers. Animals such as raccoons, foxes, opossums, coyotes, birds of prey, bears, and even endangered species may come across dead animals and consume them. Even if one poisoned carcass does not take the life of a larger animal, repeated exposure can cause serious harm. Toxins can build up in the body over time, leading to organ failure or long-term health problems. This creates a chain reaction where animals that eat poisoned prey may themselves become poisoned, and animals that eat those animals may also be affected. In a state as biologically rich as Florida, this kind of risk is extremely dangerous. Because of all these factors, poison-based control methods are widely seen as too risky, too unpredictable, and too harmful for Florida's complex ecosystem. The environment is simply too crowded with life, too interconnected, and too fragile for such an indiscriminate approach. After seeing how dangerous, unpredictable, and harmful poison-based methods can be for Florida's fragile ecosystem, the question becomes clear. If broad solutions create more problems than they solve, what smarter, more targeted approaches can actually help control invasive snakes without putting native wildlife at risk? Let's delve deeper. Targeted solutions and new tools for managing invasive snakes. Because broad poison-based methods pose so many risks, scientists and wildlife managers in Florida have been forced to think differently. Instead of trying to remove invasive snakes through widespread measures, they are focusing on targeted, controlled solutions that reduce harm to native wildlife. These newer methods are designed specifically for Florida's environment and the behavior of invasive snakes. One of the most creative ideas being tested involves the use of robotic animals. Researchers developed robotic marsh rabbits that are designed to look, move, and feel like real prey. These robotic rabbits are not random toys. They are carefully engineered tools. They give off heat, which is one of the main signals snakes use to locate prey. They also move in ways that mimic real animals, which helps trigger a snake's hunting instincts. The robots are placed in specific locations where invasive snakes are known to travel or hide. Each robot is monitored using cameras and sensors. When a snake approaches, the system sends an alert to researchers or wildlife contractors. This allows trained professionals to respond quickly and safely, remove the snake from the area. This method avoids poisoning altogether and greatly reduces the risk to non-target species. Another advantage of robotic prey is control. Researchers decide exactly where and when the robots are active. They can remove them if conditions change or if native animals begin showing interest. The robots do not need food, do not produce waste, and can operate for long periods. This makes them far more manageable than using live animals or toxic bait. In addition to robotic tools, trained dogs have also become an important part of invasive snake management. Dogs have an incredible sense of smell and can be trained to detect very specific scents. Wildlife agencies have successfully trained dogs to recognize the scent of invasive pythons. These dogs work alongside handlers and biologists in controlled conditions. The dogs do not attack the snakes. Their job is simply to find them. When a dog detects a snake's scent, it alerts its handler. The team then steps back while trained professionals locate and safely remove the snake. Studies have shown that dogs are often more successful than human search teams, especially in areas with thick vegetation or limited visibility. Using dogs also reduces the need for widespread searching, which can disturb habitats and stress wildlife. The dogs are trained to ignore other animals and remain focused on their task. They are conditioned to work in Florida's heat and humidity and are protected from dangerous terrain and wildlife. Together, these targeted approaches represent a shift in how invasive species are managed in Florida. Instead of relying on methods that affect everything in the environment, scientists are focusing on precision, safety, and long-term sustainability. While no solution is perfect, these newer tools offer hope that invasive snake populations can be reduced without causing further harm to Florida's already stressed ecosystems. In the end, Florida's situation requires solutions that respect its complexity. The state's wildlife, landscapes, and ecological relationships are far too intricate for simple fixes. Careful, targeted, and innovative methods offer the best chance to protect native species while addressing the growing threat posed by invasive snakes. If dropping poisoned mice didn't work in Florida without risking the native wildlife, the question becomes, how else can we control these giant invasive snakes in a way that is safe, effective, and sustainable? Let's find out. Battling the Burmese python, hunters and high-tech solutions. The Burmese python are predators at the very top of the food chain. In Florida, they have no natural predators to control their numbers. This means they can eat a lot of animals without anything stopping them. Because of this, they are causing serious damage to the ecosystem of the Everglades, which is home to many birds, mammals, reptiles, and other wildlife. The problem began in 1992 after Hurricane Andrew. During the storm, a reptile breeding facility was damaged. Many Burmese pythons escaped into the wild. Once they were free, the snakes started to live and breed in the Everglades. Female pythons can lay dozens of eggs at once. This allows their population to grow very quickly. According to estimates, there could now be as many as 100,000 Burmese pythons living in the Everglades. These snakes are very large. Some can grow longer than 20 feet and weigh over 140 pounds. They are non-venomous, which means they do not have poison. But they are very dangerous predators. They hurt others by coiling their bodies around prey and squeezing until the animal cannot breathe. Then, they swallow it whole. The snakes have special jaws that can open very wide. This allows them to eat animals that are much bigger than what people usually think a snake can eat. There are reports of pythons eating deer and even alligators. This shows just how strong and powerful these snakes are. Burmese pythons eat many animals in the Everglades. They take birds, mammals, and other creatures that are important for the ecosystem. This affects other predators like panthers and alligators because they lose food sources. The Everglades have become a place where the snakes have plenty of food all year round. This has made the problem worse because there is no shortage of prey for them to hunt. To fight this problem, South Florida launched a special program. The South Florida Water Management District hired 25 elite hunters to capture and remove these snakes from the wild. This program is called the Burmese Python Bounty Program. It is set to run through May 25th. The hunter's job is to catch as many snakes as possible. So far, they have already captured roughly 100 snakes. Hunters in this program are paid $8.15 per hour. On top of that, they receive bonuses based on the size of the snake they catch. Snakes under 4 feet earn $50, and longer snakes earn an additional $25 for every foot above that. The largest snake captured so far in the program measured nearly 17 feet. Other captured snakes were over 15 feet long and weighed more than 140 pounds. The hunters also use high-tech tools to find the snakes. One example is drones. Drones are flown over areas where snakes might be hiding. They can spot pythons resting on rocks, embankments, or in the sun. For instance, a hunter named Rodney Irwin used a drone to find a 7-foot python warming itself before moving in to capture it. After the snakes are captured, they can also be sold. Some hunters bring them to exotic leather businesses where their skins are made into products for companies like Gucci and Hermes. Business owners say that this program is good for the environment, good for hunters, and good for the local economy. Hunters, however, say that their main reason for participating is not money. They want to help protect the Everglades and its wildlife. Many hunters feel like they are on the front lines of an important fight against a dangerous invasive species. Overall, this program combines environmental protection, technology, and economic opportunity. While the challenge of controlling Burmese pythons is very large because of their size, strength, and reproductive ability, the program aims to reduce their numbers and lessen their impact on the Everglades. Hunters and officials hope that with careful planning, the spread of these snakes can be slowed, and the natural balance of the Everglades can be better protected. If robotic rabbits and AI could map the python's secret movements, how are Florida's natural predators and human hunters stepping up to finally turn the tide? Stay tuned for more. Florida's battle against the super python. Nature and humans fight back. The Florida Everglades, a unique and fragile wetland, has faced serious problems because of Burmese pythons. These snakes, not native to Florida, have grown in number for decades and have caused major damage to native animals. Scientists and wildlife managers have studied them closely to understand how they spread and how other animals and humans are responding. One key method they used is called the Judas snake technique. In this method, a male python is fitted with a GPS tracker to find female snakes and their nests. A well-known example involved a male python named Loki, about 13 feet long and weighing over 45 pounds. Loki was released to lead researchers to nesting sites so they could study the eggs or remove them to prevent more snakes from hatching. Loki was found dead during the experiment, with his head removed and neck crushed. Trail cameras showed that a bobcat, a wild cat weighing only 22 to 33 pounds, had attacked him. This was remarkable because bobcats were not previously known to attack adult Burmese pythons. This showed that some native predators are learning to hunt these invasive snakes, and it also highlighted how useful the Judas snake method is for tracking populations and breeding areas. Other animals have also started hunting pythons. Bobcats have been seen eating python eggs and confronting adult snakes. American alligators, longtime rulers of the Everglades, have attacked both juvenile and adult pythons, sometimes swallowing them whole. Studies with GPS-tagged pythons show that over 14% of tracked snakes were eaten by alligators. Smaller predators like king snakes and pit vipers have been recorded eating baby pythons, showing that even smaller snakes are helping control the population. Birds of prey, such as bald eagles, great horned owls, and great blue herons, have hunted juvenile pythons, lifting them from the ground or stabbing them with their beaks and talons. Florida black bears have also been documented taking advantage of weakened or chilled pythons. Over time, these predators are learning how to attack pythons, which is helping reduce their numbers. The climate also affects Burmese pythons. Being tropical animals, they do not handle colds well. Temperatures below 59 degrees Fahrenheit make them slow, and below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, they can barely move. In 2010, a cold spell caused many pythons to freeze, sometimes falling from trees. However, some snakes survived, showing that they carry genes for cold tolerance. Scientists have also found that Burmese pythons in Florida are hybridizing with Indian pythons, which are better at surviving cooler temperatures. These hybrids, called super pythons, are stronger, more aggressive, and able to survive cold winters. If this trait spreads, pythons could expand north into other states such as Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. Humans have been actively trying to control pythons as well. Donna Khalil, a professional python hunter, has personally removed over 1,000 snakes. She trains other hunters and works in dangerous conditions, often at night, using special platforms on trucks to observe the swamp quietly. Hunting pythons is slow and careful work. Hunters must spot snakes quickly and decide in seconds how to capture them safely. Many snakes are over 16 feet long and weigh more than 130 pounds, making this work risky. Khalil has been bitten many times and even slammed into the swamp by large pythons, yet she continues because her goal is to protect the ecosystem, not earn money. In addition to hunters, other programs are helping control the population. Eastern indigo snakes, which are natural predators of juvenile pythons, have been reintroduced into the Everglades. These snakes do not harm humans or adult pythons, but target hatchlings, preventing them from growing into adults. Cameras have confirmed that the indigo snakes are reproducing in the wild, which is a promising sign for long-term control. The combination of native predators adapting, cold weather limiting python activity, human hunters removing large numbers of snakes, and the reintroduction of indigo snakes shows that the Everglades ecosystem is slowly fighting back. Although pythons reproduce quickly and remain a serious threat, these efforts demonstrate that animals and humans can work together to restore balance. The fight against Burmese pythons is ongoing and will likely take decades, but it is no longer a story of hopelessness. Instead, it is about the resilience of nature and the determination of people to protect their home. With invasive pythons wreaking havoc, how can Florida's native snakes and other wildlife step in to turn the tide? Let's learn more. Restoring Florida's natural balance. Florida is home to many native snakes, including rattlesnakes, pit vipers, and coral snakes. These snakes are venomous and dangerous to humans, causing painful bites every year. To help control these snakes, as well as other harmful species, Florida has turned to the eastern indigo snake, or indigo snake for short. This snake is the longest native snake in North America, growing over 8 feet long. It is immune to the venom of local snakes, which makes it very useful for controlling dangerous snakes and other animals that could be a problem. Indigo snakes live in longleaf pine forests, which used to cover a large area across the southeastern United States. These forests offered food, shelter, and burrows dug by other animals where the snakes could live and breed. Today, only about 3% of these forests remain, mainly because of logging and farming. Habitat loss has made it harder for snakes to survive and meet each other to reproduce. In addition to losing their homes, indigo snakes have faced other dangers. Many died during past programs to remove venomous snakes. Others were captured illegally for the exotic pet trade or attacked while crossing roads. These pressures caused the species to be listed as endangered in 1978, the first snake in the U.S. to get that status. In 2017, Florida started a program to reintroduce indigo snakes to help control harmful snakes and pests. The program is a partnership between conservation groups, government agencies, and zoos. They focus on areas where the snakes can survive and help restore the natural balance. The Apalachicola Bluffs and Ravines Preserve in northern Florida was chosen as a main site. Snakes are raised in captivity for the first 2 years to help them grow strong enough to survive. Each year, dozens are released into the wild. By 2024, more than 200 snakes had been released. In 2023, wild-born baby snakes were discovered for the first time in over 40 years, showing that the released snakes were surviving and reproducing. Indigo snakes eat a variety of animals, including venomous snakes like rattlesnakes and pit vipers, and rodents like cotton rats. Cotton rats can damage crops and carry diseases, such as the Black Creek Canal virus. which can harm humans. By eating these animals, indigo snakes help protect both nature and people. Because they control the numbers of many other species, indigo snakes are considered keystone species. Their presence affects the ecosystem much more than their numbers would suggest. Indigo snakes are also used to measure the health of ecosystems. They need large, continuous forests and are sensitive to changes in their surroundings. If they are living well in an area, it shows that the habitat is healthy, food is plentiful, and there are enough shelters. Their success in Florida inspired similar work in Alabama, especially in the Conuco National Forest. Since 2010, over 200 snakes have been released there. In 2019, wild-born hatchlings were found for the first time in more than 60 years, showing the program's success. The indigo snake depends on gopher tortoises, which dig deep burrows used for protection from heat, cold, and predators. However, tortoises face many threats, including habitat loss, disease, predation, invasive species like fire ants, and illegal capture. These pressures have placed gopher tortoises on Florida's endangered species list since 2007. Conservation efforts include habitat restoration, controlled burns, and relocating tortoises to safe reserves, such as the Disney Wilderness Preserve. Protecting tortoises helps the snakes survive, because without the burrows, many snakes would not make it. By protecting both indigo snakes and gopher tortoises, Florida has created a natural system that controls harmful snakes, venomous species, and rodents, while supporting a balanced ecosystem. This work improves human safety and helps the forests remain healthy. With careful planning, monitoring, and habitat restoration, the programs show that it is possible to restore the balance in nature and ensure the long-term survival of these important species. If humans nearly wiped out a snake that once kept Florida's wilds in balance, could reintroducing it really help restore the ecosystem? And how would it face the threats that drove it to the brink? Let's take a closer look. Return of the eastern indigo. Nature's keystone restored. Efforts to bring back the eastern indigo snake in Florida have shown real progress. These snakes, once almost gone from the state, are starting to live and reproduce in the wild again. In 2023, biologists found 2 wild-born indigo snake hatchlings in northern Florida. These young snakes were born naturally, from parents released as part of the conservation program, not from captivity or other areas. This was the first proof in more than 40 years that the species could survive and reproduce on its own. It was an important sign that the careful work of conservation groups was starting to succeed. Florida's success encouraged other states to act. In Alabama, conservationists used Florida as an example and released hundreds of indigo snakes into the Conuco National Forest. After several years, in 2019, they found the first wild-born indigo snake there in more than 60 years. This showed that reintroduction could work outside of Florida, and that the snakes could return to their natural areas. The births of wild hatchlings in both Florida and Alabama proved that the species could grow naturally again, giving hope for long-term survival. A big reason for this success is habitat restoration. Longleaf pine forests, which were once common across the southeast, had been reduced to small patches because of logging, farming, and new buildings. These forests are very important for the indigo snake. They provide places to hide, hunt, and breed. Conservation groups are working to protect the remaining forest areas and to restore damaged ones. They use controlled burns, remove invasive plants, and make safe spaces for wildlife. Reserves like the Disney Wilderness Preserve in Florida give snakes and other animals a secure home. Fixing these habitats helps not just the snakes, but the whole ecosystem, keeping predators and prey in balance. The eastern indigo snake is a keystone species because it plays a key role in nature. It hunts dangerous snakes like rattlesnakes, copperheads, and coral snakes, which helps keep their numbers under control and reduces risk to humans and other animals. Indigo snakes also eat rodents that can harm crops and spread disease. Because they need large, safe areas with lots of food, their presence shows that the environment is healthy. Where indigo snakes live and breed, the ecosystem is likely in good shape too. Their recovery is therefore not just about saving one species, but about helping the entire natural balance return. In conclusion, the work to bring back the eastern indigo snake has been effective. The species is surviving, reproducing, and playing its role as a key predator in the wild. Careful habitat restoration, monitoring, and controlled release of snakes have made this possible. As these efforts continue, the indigo snake's return gives hope for the larger ecosystems of the southeastern United States, showing that with planning and patience, nature can recover from human harm. If Burmese pythons reshaped Florida's wetlands, what hidden dangers did they bring with them, quietly threatening the snakes already living there? Keep watching to find out. The Burmese python lungworm and its threat to Florida's snakes. Florida's wetlands face a hidden danger from a parasite called the Burmese python lungworm, scientifically named Riotella orientalis. This parasite arrived in the state with the invasive Burmese python and has spread quietly across the Everglades and other areas. Since its first detection in 2012, it has infected at least 18 species of native snakes. Some of these are water snakes, king snakes, rattlesnakes, and even the threatened eastern indigo snake. The lungworm has a complicated life cycle that involves several animals. Snakes infected with the parasite release eggs in their waste. Cockroaches and other insects eat the eggs, and then frogs or lizards, which eat the insects, pick up the parasite. When a snake eats an infected frog or lizard, the parasite enters the snake's lungs, where it grows and reproduces. This cycle repeats, allowing the parasite to spread to many snakes over time. The health effects of the lungworm can be severe. Scientists have found many lungworms inside a single snake. These parasites damage the lungs, causing tissue death, bleeding, and pneumonia. Infected snakes may struggle to breathe, lose weight, or die if the infection is strong. The parasite thrives in Florida's warm and humid climate, which helps both the snakes and the other animals it needs to complete its life cycle. Surveys show that the lungworm has reached at least 34 counties, from Miami-Dade in the south to St. John's in the north. Not all snakes are affected in the same way. The Florida cottonmouth is one example. Even when infected, cottonmouths often appear healthy. Necropsies show parasites in their lungs, but the surrounding tissue is less damaged than in other snake species. Scientists think this may be because of the cottonmouth's strong immune system, its feeding habits, or possible genetic defenses. The snake may eat fewer infected frogs or lizards or be better at fighting the parasite. Researchers are still studying these differences to see if they can help protect other snake species. The spread of this parasite is a major concern for conservation. Many pet snakes are not checked for parasites, and laws controlling exotic animals are limited. As a result, the parasite continues to spread and makes protecting native snakes harder. The presence of the lungworm adds another problem to Florida's already stressed ecosystem. Native snakes are facing loss of habitat, invasive predators like the Burmese python, and now disease from a parasite that did not exist in the region before. The Burmese python lungworm shows how an invasive species can bring hidden dangers to a new environment. It moves quietly, affects many species, and can change the balance of nature. Scientists and wildlife managers emphasize that dealing with this parasite will require careful study and long-term strategies. The survival of many snakes may depend on understanding the lungworm and finding ways to limit its impact. While some species show resistance, the challenge remains serious, and Florida's wildlife must adapt to this new threat if it is to survive. What do you think about the destruction of the Burmese python? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us as we explored Florida's bold experiment with the eastern indigo snake. We hope you found this video both fascinating and eye-opening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video on your screen to uncover more stories of nature's most surprising predators and the fight to restore balance in the wild. See you there.